Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Lone Redemption here, and today I'm going to be naming my top 10 video games of the decade. Now, this list is obviously my personal opinion, so not everybody watching this video is going to agree, and if you do have a different top 10, or, you agree or disagree with any of the decisions I made in this video, be sure to leave it down in the comments. I'd love to read what you guys think about, what have been the best games of this decade. And if you are going to stay till the end of any of my videos, please let it be this one, as obviously, as it gets to the top 5, the top 4, the top 3, they're the games I really care about. They're the best of the best. I'm not saying 10, 9, and 8 aren't good, but it really picks up at around 7. I think there's a dramatic change from 8 till 7. 7 onwards are all just superb games, so please make sure you watch this whole video. Now, the reason why I say there's a massive step up in the quality of games from 7 onwards is because 10, 9, and 8 have been heavily influenced by the multiplayer side of them, whereas 7 through 1 have been really selected based on their single player merits. Now, before I get into my top 10, I'm going to quickly give a shout out to a few honorable mentions. Now, 4 of the games that came out this decade that just missed out on the list were Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor, Rocket League, FIFA 15, and Dying Light. And I've also got to give a shout out to 3 games that just missed out on being in this decade as they came out at the end of 2009. Now, these 3 games are Assassin's Creed 2, Uncharted 2: Among Thieves, which is my favorite video game of all time, and then the third is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. All 3 of these would have been in the top 10 had they not come out in 2009. Anyway, without further ado, let's head into my top 10 video games of the decade. My 10th favorite video game of this decade is Overwatch. Now, the number 10 spot was one of the hardest for me to rank, as Rocket League and FIFA 15 were close to taking it, but ultimately Overwatch takes the cake. Overwatch is honestly just an incredible achievement from Blizzard. Blizzard managed to make a team-based first-person shooter with so many different roles, and that honestly is just what makes this stand out. Overwatch has so many different heroes with unique learning curves that honestly, there's something for everybody in this game. If you aren't 100% confident in your ability in shooting games, then there are characters that are less aim-orientated. Characters like Mercy, Lucio, Reinhardt. Of course, you still have to aim with these characters, but they don't require as good of aim as what you'd need with, say, McCree or Widowmaker. And honestly, what's incredible about Overwatch is that no one feels left out. Healers, tanks, and DPS all have to work together to achieve a common goal, which is victory for your team, and I just love that. Which lends itself perfectly into the competitive part of the game. It's all about working as a team, and there's so much about this game to learn. What different heroes' abilities are, and their counters, and the different ways in which you can pair ultimates are just a few of the things you can learn along the way to becoming better at this game. I've dumped hundreds of hours into Overwatch, and there's still so many things I could be doing better. Blizzard gave us a masterpiece in team-based multiplayers through Overwatch, and for that reason, it takes the number 10 spot. I doubt that there's a single person watching this video who hasn't heard of or played Grand Theft Auto, and with good reason. Grand Theft Auto 5 is the highest earning entertainment product in history. I still remember coming home from my grade 8 camp and experiencing Los Santos for the first time and just being absolutely amazed by the realism of this game. Grand Theft Auto 5 is just such a fun game to play, whether it be the single player or the multiplayer. For the very first time in the Grand Theft Auto franchise, the single player campaign consisted of 3 playable characters: Michael, Franklin, and Trevor. Franklin taking the role of the street hustler, Michael the retired rich dad, and Trevor as the psychopath. They all complement each other so well, and the exchanges between the trio are often hilarious. So many of the game's missions are super entertaining, and honestly, it's just a roller coaster from start to finish. But what is truly incredible about GTA 5 is its online mode. The online mode has so many different game modes and so many different things you can do, it's honestly incredible. From messing around to free mode, to racing your friends, to playing golf, to playing darts, to doing heists, or doing a good old-fashioned deathmatch. There's honestly probably too much to do in this game. GTA 5's online doesn't restrict its players in any way, and it's for that reason that it's one of the greatest multiplayers of its generation. Call of Duty Black Ops 2 is the sequel to its predecessor, Black Ops 1. Black Ops 2 had a great campaign, and for the first time ever in COD, we were given the ability to make choices that could change the ending of the game. Throughout the game, you go back and forth in time, controlling both Alex Mason and his son, David Mason. However, I'm not going to go into campaign too much because what really makes this game shine is the multiplayer. Call of Duty Black Ops 2's multiplayer is honestly some of the most fun I've ever had gaming. The gameplay was amazing, the maps were incredible, and the kill streaks were superb. And it all just blended together to make what is one of the best Call of Duties of all time. If you were around in the community during the time of Black Ops 2, you'd know the impact this game had on everything. This is when YouTubers really started to blow up. It's when the sniping community started to blow up. It's when trolling started to blow up. Everything blew up tenfold. I still remember getting home from school, jumping into a 6-man party on S&D and playing for hours straight and doing that every single day. The memories I have on Black Ops 2 are only matched by Modern Warfare 2 in my entire history of gaming. On top of that, they gave us some of the best zombie maps that have ever come out, specifically Mob of the Dead and Origins. These are two of my favorite zombies maps of all time, and I can put days upon days into them. But when you combine the campaign, multiplayer, and zombies together, you undeniably get the complete package. Spider-Man on the PS4 gave me exactly what I wanted from a Spider-Man game. The best Spider-Man before this one was definitely Spider-Man 2 on the PS2 in my opinion, but this one may have dethroned it. The story is engaging, the characters are interesting, and the gameplay is fun. The game also had an emotional weight to it that I honestly wasn't necessarily expecting. And can we just talk about the web slinging for a second? Oh my god, I love swinging around New York. One of my favorite things to do on any Spider-Man game is just web slinging from building to building. It's so much fun. And Insomniac absolutely nailed it. The satisfaction I got while swinging was incredible, and yeah, I love Spider-Man PS4. It was awesome to have the Sinister Six in the game, and the ending suggested that a sequel is probably on the horizon. It was always going to be difficult to follow up the incredible Batman Arkham Asylum, but boy did Rocksteady deliver. Set in Arkham City, I had never felt more like The Dark Knight. It's what I'd always wanted without even knowing it. An open world game that truly allowed me to be the Batman. Improving upon the already groundbreaking free-flow combat system of Arkham Asylum and adding to Batman's unique arsenal, this game allowed you to take out enemies in ways you'd expect from the world's greatest detective. The game had an unreal story with so many twists and turns that were executed perfectly. There were some really awesome boss fights, including my favorite, the Mr. Freeze boss fight. Every time you did a particular type of move on Mr. Freeze, you then couldn't do it again for the rest of the fight, as you became aware of it now that you've done it. This was so unique because pretty much every single boss fight in every other game ever has just consisted of you doing the same couple of moves over and over again. Mark Hamill in typical fashion was absolutely amazing as the Joker, and the ending of the game had everyone mind blown. Being set in an open world allowed them to implement side quests into the game, which expanded on the lore of Arkham City. This game set the benchmark for combat in video games, with games like Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor and Spider-Man on the PS4 replicating its style. For me, Batman Arkham City remains the greatest superhero video game of all time, and it's for that reason that it comes in at number 6. Coming in at the number 5 spot is going to be Red Dead Redemption 2. Now this was a really hard decision for me because Red Dead Redemption 1 came out in 2010, which means it also falls into this decade. However, after thinking long and hard about it, I do think I'm gonna have to go with Red Dead 2, which I don't know if that's unpopular, but I'm gonna do it. Red Dead Redemption 2 for me consisted of better storytelling, and honestly, it made Red Dead Redemption 1 better. Experiencing what it was like to be in Dutch's gang through the eyes of Arthur Morgan was honestly breathtaking. I absolutely loved Arthur Morgan as a protagonist, and he is one of my favorite protagonists out of probably the last 5 years of games that have come out. He's relatable, he's good but bad at the same time, he's just a character you can't help but love. While he may have done some bad things, Arthur Morgan has a good heart. The way he gradually notices the issues regarding his gang, and he becomes more and more skeptical about their true intentions, is extraordinarily engaging. What Arthur Morgan does for John Marston at the end of the game shows what type of man he really is. Red Dead Redemption 2 makes John Marston's journey in Red Dead Redemption 1 all the more tragic. The God of War reboot on PS4 was a masterclass in storytelling and character development. The bond between Kratos and Atreus is so compelling that it is honestly the biggest asset of this game. This father and son relationship is so engaging that the gameplay often takes second place. The ways in which Kratos and his son's relationship change throughout the course of the game is so engaging. Kratos struggles to run from the sins of his past as he tries to keep them away from his son. Gradually, the stakes of their adventure get higher and higher, and eventually, Kratos is forced into telling Atreus about his past as a Spartan. Implementing Norse mythology into the game was a great adjustment, and there were some incredible boss fights throughout the game. Some may argue that the boss fights in the previous God of War games were superior, but for me, that doesn't matter as much because what I love about this game is the story, and yeah, it's just fantastic. Telltale's The Walking Dead Season 1 is one of the greatest games I have ever played. I'd never played a game with choices like this before, but I fell in love instantly. The narrative takes center stage in this game, and I couldn't be more happy that that's the case. When I was playing as Lee and found Clementine for the first time, little did I know how much both of those characters would mean to me. Also Kenny. You can't forget about Kenny. No, but seriously, this game made me feel emotions that I didn't even know you could feel while playing a video game. I've cried at the end of Season 1, Season 2, and Season 4 of Telltale's The Walking Dead, and a lot of other people have too. It just goes to show what incredible storytellers Telltale truly are. But for me, Season 1 is the best.
Do you think things will ever be normal again?
Yeah, I do.
I hope so.
My second favorite video game of the decade is The Last of Us. The Last of Us is a video game that everyone has to experience at least once. I've personally experienced it around 11 or 12 times. It just goes to show what a true piece of art the game really is. The development of the relationship between Joel and Ellie is what makes this game what it is. Throughout your adventure, you're overwhelmed with emotional scenes, and you develop a serious relationship with the characters. The gameplay serves the feel of the game perfectly, and you become truly immersed in the post-apocalyptic world. Look, The Last of Us is simply one of the greatest video games ever created, and it's no surprise that Naughty Dog were the ones responsible for it. And speaking of Naughty Dog, the number one spot could only go to one game. Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. I waited for years in anticipation after Uncharted 3 for what was the last game in my favorite video game series of all time. Uncharted 4 was everything I hoped for it to be. Every single thing I saw and did in the game had an element of sadness to it because I knew that this was the last time I would ever get to see these characters. However, that didn't take away from how pumped up I was while playing the entire game. The more personal take on Nathan Drake was perfect for the concluding game in the franchise. The introduction of Sam Drake was a great addition, and finally learning about Drake's past was special. I thought Rafe Adler was a great villain, and I thought Uncharted 4 was a fitting end to Nate's journey. The epilogue scene had me tearing up as I said goodbye one last time.
You ever wonder, like, different choices, how we might have ended up?
No. I like the hand we've been dealt.
This video has probably been my favorite that I've ever uploaded, so if you managed to make it to the end of the video, thank you so much, you're an absolute legend. And yeah, if you enjoyed it, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new. And other than that, it's been Lone Redemption. I'm out. Peace.